three logics initially I introduced in this course. One was called sequential logic. Second one is called selection logic. And the third one is known as repeated logic. Acha, in the selection logic, we discussed the three major elements. Firstly, we discussed if. Second one, I discussed if else. Third one, I discussed switch. And one more thing I discussed, that is known as conditional operator. If that was not if, that was basically question mark and colon operator. So these are the four elements we introduced in the heading of selection logic. In the repeated logic, three elements are to be discussed. Number one is while statement. Number two is for loop that we are going to discuss today. And number third is called do while. One more thing we can discuss, which is not recommended in programming, is the goto statement. So looping by goto is not recommended. Looping by while, for, and do while are recommended procedure. And today we are going to describe for loop, right? So how for loop are to be is a loop. Loop means we have a structure like it. This is called body of loop. Here we have statements. Statement 1, 2, that is known as body of loop. So whatever the instructions we have in the body of loop will be repeatedly executed. Means once if we enter into the loop, then go here again and again and again. But before this block, you have to write down the for. This is the format of the for. You have to write down the for in the bracket. You have to initiate a variable, the initialization. Initialization. Then we have a semicolon and a condition here. Then we have a increment, decrement. Increase, oblique, decrease. So there are three statements under this bracket. First one is initialization. We have to initialize the variable. And second one is condition, up to what condition the loop will be executed. If the condition is true, then it comes in as in the while loop we were doing. If the condition is true, then it comes in. If the condition is false, it goes out of the loop. And once I was out of the loop, we will not be coming back to the repetition. Acha, if once I am inside the loop, so these statements will be executed. When this bracket comes, loop means we have to be move to the increment, decrement. The increment decrement that will be repeatedly executed. And after increment and decrement, it comes to the condition again, right? So the first element which is executed when I came inside the loop, suppose these are the 3 lines which are executed before the loop. After completing these 3 lines, then control will comes here, initialization. So this is the first element. Inside the loop, it is the first element. So whenever we enter into the loop, initialization is executed. After initialization, second thing is what condition is to be done. This is the second thing. If condition is true, then body of the loop will be executed. If condition is false, then, so this is basically the 3A. 3A, it is 3B. 3A is executed if the condition is true, 3B is executed if condition is false. Achha, if 3A is executed, it comes inside the loop. When this bracket comes, this is the fourth statement, it goes back. It goes back to the increment. This is the fourth statement or the fourth order where the increment or the decrement is to be performed. And after increment and decrement, this is the fifth step where the condition is tested again. And if the condition is true, then again 3A, then 4, then increase or decrease, and then condition. So every time if condition is tested, depending on the whether condition is true or false, it goes here or it goes here, right? So this is the repeated task that a for loop is doing. I am just writing a simple example here by the for loop, and that example relates to what? Suppose I want to print 1 to 10. These numbers are to be printed on the screen. Very simple loop I want to create here. The for variable initialization, integer variable I is going to define int I is equal to 0. Then semicolon, I less than equal to 10, not less than equal to 10, I is equal to 10. So if I'm going to start by 1, so instead of 0, I should have to start the loop by 1. I less than equal to 10 and semicolon plus I, or I is equal to I plus 1. Bracket close, and nothing we have to define inside, just only a cout statement. Cout I, and there should be an N and L because of we have to write down each line in each output in the separate line, and bracket closed. And before that we have void main void, or integer main void, and here we should have a return 0 and bracket close. As a return 0 is needed if I wrote int here. If I do not write int here, then return 0 is not required. Int main void, and we have. So what this should do, it comes inside the loop and a variable I is declared and the value of I becomes 1. Value of I becomes 1 and a variable I is declared. Then it goes here. Just look at my structure. Okay, 1 after 1, what is to be do? 2. So what is in 2? We have a condition. 1 is less than 10, true or false? Yes, अंदर आ जाएगा. See out I 1 print होगा, then end next line पे चला जाएगा. When it comes to the loop, last parenthesis, then it move to the increment or decrement. The value of I will be increased by 1. Now the value of y is 2. And then again a condition is tested. 2 is less than 10. Yes, it comes in and 2 will be printed on the screen. Then at the bracket, it goes I is equal to I plus 1. It comes to the 3. And then 3 is less than 10. It comes in, 3 is printed, and so on. So it goes up to 10. After 10, when the value of I is 10, when the value of I is 11, it checks 11 is less than 10, no. So after failing the condition, it goes to the return 0 and the program ends. So this is the sequence of a for loop, and you can observe it in a, if you want to write down a reverse loop, then reverse loop can be written as for, you can change the name of the variable. It is not necessary we have I am just writing at just j is equal to 10. Then I will write down j is greater than or equal to 1. Then decrement operator should be there. J is equal to j minus 1. And in the body of loop, you have to write down just cout and j and L and bracket closed. When this loop will executed, then 10 will be the first value because j is 10. J is greater than 1. 10 is greater than 1. Yes, condition is true. It comes in. The 10 will be printed on the screen. When it comes at this bracket, then decrement will be executed. The j decreased. So 10 is decreased by 1, then j is 9. After j is 9, it comes here and check whether 9 is greater than 1. Yes, here andar aa jayega. Then 9 will be printed. Then j minus 1 means 8. 8 will be printed and it continues up to 1. 1 is greater than 1. Yes. 1 is printed. After printing 1, it comes here. 1 minus 1 becomes 0. 0 is greater than 1. No. 0 is not greater than 1. It goes out. So this is the decrement loop or the reverse loop. You can, if you execute this, then an integer from 10 to 1 will be printed on the screen. But there is a error in the program, and you have to specify what the error is. Things are necessary in the loop. One thing is in integer j, I not declared the j here. I initialize the j by 10, but declaration should be here. And main and var wide main wide, and then a close bracket of the main. Then when we comes here, the loop will be ended, and the line 1 to 10, 10 to 1 will be printed on the screen. We can execute the loop by while. If I am doing the same thing by the while, then what is the program? So main, and in the main you have to start the bracket. Int j should be there and is equal to 10. Initialization is there. In the while, you have to write down the only condition. Condition is what? J is greater than equal to 1. And in the bracket, you have to write down the cout j and a semicolon. Then one thing is to be placed here, which is j is equal to j minus 1. And program closed. So all the elements which I have in a for loop must occur in a while loop. The j is equal to 10 is the initialization. we have initialization and declaration both here outside the loop. Because why it is outside the loop? Because it is to be executed once. Then condition is tested. So again, after initialization, the condition is tested. Is j is 1, then comes in and print the value of j. So j is 10. So this line is here inside the loop. So what two things are inside the loop? One is cout, it is inside the loop, I have. And j is equal to g minus 1 is executed repeatedly, so I have it. If I remove j is equal to j minus 1, then an infinite loop will be executed. If I take j is equal to j minus 1 outside the loop, then infinite loop will be executed. So these will be the comparisons between the for loop and a while loop. Both are the loops. We can do either by while, we can do either by for, both are equivalent, but the method of writing of the sentences is slightly different in for as compared to in while. There is not necessary that we have a j is equal to j minus 1 or we have a I is equal to I minus 1. We may have any of the increment precedence like j is equal to j multiply or we may have j is equal to j divided by 2 we can use. So this program print even numbers on the screen. So you can see how can we print the 10 even numbers on the screen. So initially define by for I am doing it. So you have to define for and j is equal to 1 and j is less than equal to 20. J is equal to j multiply by 2. Bracket closed. In the bracket, I have to write down just cout j and L and bracket close, and that's all. Here I have to define main with the starting bracket, and I have to write down this. Whether return 0 is necessary for your compiler or not. In some compilers, the return 0 is necessary. In some compilers, there is no need of that. So I'm just keeping it simple. So what it does, when it comes in, initially the j becomes 1 int j. You must have to write down the int j here because if I am not declaring the j, then there will be an error. Either you have to declare it outside the loop or inside the loop. The j is 1. Is j 20, smaller than 20? Yes, it comes in and initially we have to start by 2, not by 1. Because the first value I want to see as 2. So 2 is less than 20, yes. The 2 will be printed on the screen. Then it comes here. When it comes here, the product executed. 2 multiplied by 2 because the initial value of j is 2. 2 multiplied by 2 becomes 4. 4 is less than 20, yes. So 4 will be printed. Then it comes out and again 4 multiplied by 2 becomes 8. 8 is less than 20, yes. 8 will be printed. 10 will be printed. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 20 is less than equal to 20. Yes, it comes in. When it comes in, then 20 multiplied by 2 becomes 40. 40 is less than 10. No, it goes out and the loop will be ended. Suppose there is a loop for j is equal to 1 and j is greater than 10 and plus j, or j is equal to j plus 1. J is equal to j plus 1 can also be written as plus j. Now in the bracket I have cout and j and L and loop is closed. One thing is remaining, which is int j. You should have to write down the int j. That is the starting bracket of main. That is the ending bracket of main. We have a main here, right? Now it declares the variable j. It comes in, initialize the value of j by 1. After that, it comes in to the condition. Is 1 greater than 10? No. 1 is not greater than 10. It goes outside because first time when it check the condition becomes false, it never comes inside the loop, and at the first moment it goes out. So loop will not be executed. Loop will not be executed at one time. Not a single time loop will be. Mohammad Thala has identified that the output of this program is not this, and Talha is correct, and this will not be the output of this loop, because initially the j becomes 2, and it comes here 2 is less than 20. Yes, so 2 will be printed on the screen. After the 2 is printed, 2 2s are 4, then 4 will be printed. Then it comes here, 4 2s are 8 will be printed. And then 8 2s are 16 will be printed. After 16, the 16 will be printed. After the 16, 16 multiplied by 2 becomes 32. 32 is less than 20. Condition becomes fails. 32 is not less than 20. It goes out. So the actual output will be this. This is the correct output, and this is incorrect output. So we have a correction in my previous version. When I was executing this program, I was assuming that this will be the output, but that this will not be the output. Actual output of this program will be this. Very good, Talha. Thank you very much. So, it is the dev compiler. In this compiler, there is no script file here open. So first we have to open a new script file, the new source file. The new source file is now open. Now we have to declare main, int main, and a blank bracket. And then we have a parenthesis we have, and declare the variable int j semicolon for j is equal to 1, and semicolon j is less than equal to 10, semicolon, then j is equal to j plus 1. This is the increment. So I'm executing the first version of the program here. Then inside the loop, we have a parenthesis, which is known as a body of the loop. Then cout. In the cout, we have j and an ANDL, semicolon. That's all. We have a return 0 at this place. So this is the program. I'm showing you the program in a Zoom version. You can see the program. Int main, and the variable is declared with the name j. J is equal to 1. It is to be done by 1 in the loop. This is j is equal to j is less than equal to 10. Condition will be checked. Then value of j is increased by 1, and if j is less than 10, it comes in and the value of j is printed with the line break, and loop will be executed. Now I am going to execute this compile. Before compile, it is asking for saving the program. First for loop, and ANDL was not declared in this program. Why? So the reason is we have to write down the few of the statements which should be before the main. So ANDL is to be declared by two statements are to be. I'm just copying some of the commands from the previous. Control C and Control V here. So we have, it is not first program, this is the first, my first for loop. My first, actually, this is not the name of the program because I wrote the different name of the program. Demonstrate for loop. Then I think so is fine. Now I have to execute and compile and run. Now error 0, warning 0 means the compilation is successfully done. Now I am going to execute, run, and you can see the output of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the first version of the program. If you change some of the things inside the program by some alterations that is recommended previously in the presentation, suppose I'm going to define it by 10 and it is not greater than less than 10, it will be the greater than equal to 10. And instead of j plus 1, I have a j minus 1. It will print the reverse counting from 10 to 1. So I'm going to execute this program, compile. You can see 0 error, 0 warning, execute, run. Now you have what the output you have, only 10. Why the only 10? Because I made an error. What the error is, I initialized by 10 and 10 minus 1, it is checked by 10. So we should not to checked by 10, it should be checked by 1. Starting by 10, checked by 1. So I have to change the few things here. And that thing is what? That thing is condition is not correct. We should have to update the condition, and the condition is what? And the condition is this should be 1, not 10. This should be 1, not 10. Now execute and compile. You can see, run. Now the output is there, 10, 9 to 1. So you have the reversed output. Now I'm just making the last version of the program, and that was what? That was multiply by 2. J and j is equal to 2, and j is greater than 20. So it should be the less than 20 because it is a forward loop. Instead of j is equal to j minus 1, I have j is equal to j multiply by 10 and by 2, sorry. J is equal to j multiply by 2. And all of you have idea about 2, then 2 to the 4, then 4 to the 8, then 8 to the 16, then that's all. So this will be output. I'm just executing this. Execute, run. You can see the output. Output is what? 2, 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8, 8 to the 16, and that's all. So there is no further statement here in this. This is the end of this lecture. Thank you very much to be here with me. And inshallah, practice all of these programs and practice make them men perfect. So you should have a very compile execution every time you have to take the program and execute it. That's all.